It also introduces readers to an extraordinary, sorry, let me try that again. And I feel like the Lucy Atkins book might be, maybe not, harder to find. So the next book is one I have, and it says, where the accusations began that led to the Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converts. Today's video is going to be my ebook haul. And by my ebook haul, I don't mean that I just like totally went on a shopping spree, but I maybe totally bought a book last night. And I realized that when I talk about book hauls, it never occurs to me to talk about ebooks that I'm buying because I don't know why, but I'm not like a huge ebook reader. So I tend to like use it for library books that I'm borrowing or a really, really good deal. And full disclosure, because I haven't been commuting for quite a long time, I've gotten further away and I've just been reading my books. And at the end of the day, I am also a book person. But ebooks to me are perfect when you can get a really, really good deal on them. And sometimes I sort of use it like from my library end, if I can like snag a book for 99 cents, as a way to test out a book. And I have been known to completely buy an ebook, fall in love with it, and then buy the real book so I can have it on my shelf. So all of that to say, I've picked up a bunch of books probably in the past couple of months. It's not a ton, but I figured I would run through them. And yeah, it's a book haul on my iPad. So I've definitely talked about a few of these books before, and the first one is The Liar's Girl by Catherine Ryan Howard, and this is the book that I bought last night for 99 cents. Thank you very much. And this is a serial killer. This takes place in a college, so this is like tropes I love kind of a thing. So this takes place at a college in Dublin, and freshman Allison falls in love with this guy Will, and you know, everything's perfect, and then she finds out that he's kind of a serial killer. So maybe not so perfect after all. So for all the obvious reasons, he goes away for the crimes, she goes away to get away from it all, and then we fast forward a few years and another murder has taken place, same MO as Will, and Allison gets pulled back into it. So I don't know if it's multiple timelines, I'm not sure the structure of it all, but serial killer, college vibes, obviously sort of a reluctant return home kind of a feel to it all. I have heard nothing but amazing things about Catherine Ryan Howard. I bought The Nowhere Man, I haven't read it yet, and the next book I'm going to talk about is also from her, but I need to get into her because everyone is talking about it, and no lie, I have like hardcore FOMO, but this is the first book, 99 cents, I'm in. So the next book is Distress Signals, also Catherine Ryan Howard. And in this one, we have a guy named Adam and his girlfriend Sarah doesn't return from her trip to Barcelona. And it's supposed to be a business trip and she just doesn't come back. And then a few days later in the mail, he gets her passport and a note that reads, quote, "I'm sorry, S." And it says, if Sarah sent it to him, but something just doesn't feel right to Adam, he's not buying it. So he reaches out to the cruise ship that she was on. I don't know who does a business trip on a cruise ship, but more power to her. And he finds out that a year earlier, a woman also disappeared from this ship, sort of in a very similar way to Sarah. So I guess he is gonna dig into his relationship. He's gonna try and figure out what's what. And this was her debut novel. Again, nothing but great things is what I'm hearing about it. So I'm excited to read this one too. So I also picked up a couple of free books because they are in public domain. So I picked up Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie and I picked up Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. So I have not read either of these books, you guys. And part of my motivation, I know, please don't, I'm sure people are like, actually maybe not. Maybe people don't think it's so weird that I haven't read these books. It's fine. So I talked about this in another video also. I want to read the Mary Shelley Club, which I bought, but before I do, I want to read Frankenstein, not because you have to, but because I haven't read it and I do think reading that will 100% probably help me find Easter eggs in it and help things make sense and probably appreciate a true classic book. I also recorded the movie Frankenstein, which I know, but it was on Turner. They were doing this major, well, they always do classic movies, that's the name of the channel. But I'm super curious to like read the book, watch the movie, and then read the Mary Shelley Club. And then Peter Pan, I've never read it, and I don't even think I've seen the movie. Like, I don't remember watching this as a kid. So I know sort of like the general story, but I don't really know the story of Peter Pan. And I haven't hauled this in like a book haul yet, but I picked up the Lost in the Neverwoods by Aidan Thomas. So I was super curious about this. And I know there's another retelling-ish coming out, Darling, which I think comes out like mid-July. And I just am really intrigued by this book, and I want to read Peter Pan first. So this is, I don't think it's like a direct retelling, but this is about how children are disappearing in the woods, I want to say, in Oregon. And Wendy and 2 of her brothers went in to the woods and they disappeared 5 years ago. And then Wendy comes back, but her brothers don't. And it's kind of like trying to figure out what happened. More children are going missing, and Peter's in it. So it says, in order to find them, meaning her brothers, Wendy must confront what's waiting for her in the woods. So I want to read Peter Pan, then I want to read this, then I want to read Darling, I want to read all the books, but I did snag Peter Pan also for free. So anything public domain, you guys, is free. So you can get out there and snag it if you're interested. So the next book I have is The Shadow Man by Helen Fields. And Helen Fields has a mystery series that I read the first one of and have not made it back to the rest of the series. It's definitely sort of dark, sinister, kind of gory, kind of gritty, which doesn't make any of it bad. But I was happy to see that she wrote a standalone because I really liked her writing, but I wasn't in like a series kind of a mood. So this one says, the Shadow Man collects his victims, but he doesn't keep them safe. Elspeth, Maggie, and Xavier are locked in a flat. They don't know where they are and they don't know why they're there. They only know that the Shadow Man has taken them and he won't let them go. Desperate to escape, the 3 of them must find a way out of their living hell, even if it means uncovering a very dark truth. Because the Shadow Man isn't a nightmare, he's all too real and he's watching. So, heart-pounding, creepy, gripping thriller, pulse pounding, captivating, you know, like all the buzzwords. But I very much enjoy Helen Fields' writing, and her Perfect Remains series, like I said, was good. I read the first one, and I saw her at Thriller Fest a few years ago, which is how I got turned on to her. So I'm excited to see what else she's done. Again, I was in a standalone-y kind of a mood, and I got it for a deal. So here we go. Excited to read more from her. So the next book I have is called Social Creature, and this is by Tara Isabella Burton. So this book says it's like for fans of Gillian Flynn and Donna Tartt. It's a talented Mr. Ripley for the digital age. So Patricia Highsmith, who you guys know, big fan of talented Mr. Ripley, big fan of Patricia Highsmith. And this one is about 2 girls, Lavinia and Louise. It says Louise has nothing, Lavinia has everything. So it's a chance encounter. They spiral into an intimate, intense, and possibly toxic friendship. So it says they go through both bottles of champagne right there on the High Line with nothing but the stars over them. They drink, and Lavinia tells Louise about all the places they'll go together. When they finish their stories, when they're both great writers, to Paris, to Rome. Lavinia will never go. She's going to die soon. So it just sounds fun. It just sounds nice and dark and twisted and messed up. And you know me, dark and twisted and messed up. So sounds about right. So the next book is one I've seen all over the place, and it definitely has divisive opinions on it, and I don't know which side I'm gonna fall on, but it's Bunny by Mona Awad. And this is one of those books where I feel like you either like love it or hate it, and like you get it or you don't. And I honestly have a feeling / fear that I'm not gonna get it, but I hope that I will. So it says, we were just these innocent girls in the night trying to make something beautiful. We nearly died. We very nearly did, didn't we? So this is about a girl named Samantha. She couldn't be more of an outsider in her small, highly selective MFA program at New England's Warren University. College vibes. So she's a scholarship student. She prefers the company of her dark imagination to most people. She's utterly repelled by the rest of her fiction writing cohort, a clique of unbearably twee rich girls who call each other Bunny and seem to move and speak as one. But everything changes when Samantha receives an invitation to the Bunnies' fabled smut salon and finds herself inexplicably drawn to their front drawer, ditching her only friend Ava in the process. So she plunges into the world of the Bunnies, and she starts to take part in ritualistic off-campus workshop where they conjure their monstrous creations. The edges of reality begin to blur, and soon her friendships with Ava and the Bunnies will be brought into a deadly collision. So It says it's a down the rabbit hole tale of loneliness and belonging, friendship and desire, and the fantastic and terrible power of the imagination. So, like I said, I feel like the reviews are either like 1 star, what did I just read? 5 stars, what did I just read? So I'll let you guys know where I fall. And one of the reviews here is like, I loved it, but I hated it. So we'll see where it goes. And I know it doesn't mean anything, but it's still, I don't hate to admit that it draws me in. Margaret Atwood plugged this on the cover. And when I see an author that I love, and I know you take it with a grain of salt, but it totally draws me in. I am a marketing person's dream, 100%, but I'm curious. I'm curious. We'll see what happens. So the next book is one that I saw from Books and Lala, and I feel like she was one of those people who also talked a lot about Bunny. But this one is We Ride Upon Sticks by Quan Barry. And not only does this take place in the 80s, which love, it is high school, Salem witch trials, and has some Heathers comparisons. So kind of all things that I absolutely love. But this one says it's a tour de female force. So this one is set in the coastal town of Danvers, Massachusetts, where the accusations began that led to the 1692 witch trials. You guys know I love me anything set in Boston. I will extend my radius to Danvers. I love me some Massachusetts. So this one follows the 1989 Danvers High School Falcons field hockey team, who will do anything to make the state finals, even if it means tapping into some devilishly dark powers. In chapters dense with 1980s iconography from Heathers to big hair, Barry expertly weaves together the individual and collective progress of this enchanted team as they storm their way through an unforgettable season. So we've got the good girl Captain Abby, who is a descendant of the infamous Salem accuser, Ann Putnam, and her co-captain, whose bleach blonde claw sees and knows all. So the team is helmed by good girl Captain Abby Putnam, who is a descendant of the infamous Salem accuser Ann Putnam, and her co-captain. The Falcons field hockey team proved to be wily, original, and bold, flaunting society's stale notions of femininity in order to find their glorious true selves through the crucible of team sport and, more importantly, friendship. So we've got suburbia, witches, field hockey, Massachusetts. I've heard great things about it. Again, I feel like this is one of those books where so many people were talking about it, and anything 80s, I'm such an 80s girl, I just love it so much. So I'm excited to dig into this one. There's like a part of me that has like fall vibes to it because it's school and field hockey, but at the same time, I'm such a mood reader. All bets are off when I'm gonna pick this one up, but very excited to find it and to read it. The next book is Magpie Lane by Lucy Atkins, and this was a direct recommendation from Abby at Crime by the Book. And she wrote The Night Visitor also, Lucy Atkins, which I haven't read yet, but it's like dark academia vibes. So this one takes place in Oxford, and we have when the 8-year-old daughter of an Oxford College master vanishes in the middle of the night, police turn to their Scottish nanny Dee for answers. As Dee looks back over her time at the master's lodging, an eerie and ancient house, a picture of high-achieving but dysfunctional family emerges. Nick, the fiercely intelligent and powerful father, his beautiful Danish wife Mariah, pregnant with their child, and the lost little girl Felicity, almost mute, seeing ghosts, grieving her dead mother. But is Dee telling the whole story? Is her growing friendship with the eccentric house historian Linklater any cause for concern? And most of all, why is Felicity silent? So it says, roaming Oxford's secret passages and hidden graveyards, Magpie Lane explores the true meaning of family and what it is to be denied one. So it's supposed to be thrillery, all sorts of great things, and yeah. The next book is Clown in a Cornfield by Adam Cesari. This was a recommendation from Riley Sager, and I snagged this a while ago, but I haven't read it yet because I'm kind of a little bit scared to read it. So I think it's like super creepy, but it was a Bram Stoker winner for superior achievement in a young adult novel. And it says it's a terrifying book. So we'll find out. We'll see how brave I get. But in this one it says, Quinn Maybrook finds herself caught in a battle between old and new, tradition and progress that just may cost her her life. So Quinn and her father have moved into a tiny, boring town of Kettle Springs to find a fresh start. But what they don't know is that ever since the Bay Pen corn syrup factory shut down, Kettle Springs has cracked in half. On one side are the adults who are desperate to make Kettle Springs great again, and on the other are the kids who want to have fun, make prank videos, and get out of Kettle Springs as quick as they can. So the town is caught in the battle between old and new, in a fight that looks like it will destroy the town until Friendo, the Bay Pen mascot, a creepy clown in a pork pie hat, goes homicidal and decides that the only way for Kettle Springs to grow back is to cull the rotten crop of kids who live there now. All I can think of is Children of the Corn, and I'm like scared to pieces. Haven't even read it yet, already terrified. So I picked up 2 nonfiction books, both of which are definitely on the heavy side. The first one is Columbine by Dave Cullen, and this book actually came out in 2009. Apparently it has a new epilogue to it, but he spent 10 years writing this book. He was one of the first reporters on the scene back in April 1999 at Columbine, and it has put together sort of, it's a masterpiece of reportage. It is interviews, it is transcripts. He worked with psychotherapists, he worked with the detectives, he talks about what happened that day, the impact it's had not only on the country and the world and the survivors, but it's supposed to be a really amazing / really difficult to read book. But it basically says everything we think we know about that day and every assumption is wrong. And it's become such a spectacle and so much speculation about it. So it says readers will come away from Cullen's unflinching account with a deeper understanding of what drove these boys to kill, even if the answers aren't easy to stomach. So I know people who have read this book, I know it's definitely heavy. I'm interested in it, so definitely going to wait for the right time and the place, but I'm very curious to see what this book is about. And again, I've heard really great things about it, so I'm interested. And then the next book I got is Know My Name by Chanel Miller. And this is about the woman who was known as Emily Doe in the Brock Turner case. She was his accuser, and he was sentenced to 6 months in prison for sexually assaulting her at Stanford. And then she wrote an anonymous victim impact statement that was posted on BuzzFeed. And it said, where it went instantly viral, viewed by 11 million people within 4 days, translated globally, and read on the floor of Congress. It inspired changes in California law and the recall of the judge in the case. Thousands wrote to say that she had given them the courage to share their own experience of assault for the first time. So in this book, it says she reclaims her identity and tells her story of trauma, transcendence, and the power of words. Again, I know people who have read this book and talked about just how impactful it is and how brave it is and how well written it is. And it says, Know My Name will forever transform the way we think about sexual assault, challenging our beliefs about what is acceptable and speaking truth to the tumultuous reality of healing. It also introduces readers to an extraordinary writer, one whose words have already changed our world. Entwining pain, resilience, and humor, this memoir will stand as a modern classic. So again, I know this one is going to be heavy to read. I also think it's going to be really important to read. And like I said, based on friends of mine who have read it and have said great things about it, I am very interested in reading this story and learning more about her and her journey. So that's going to do it for the ebooks. That's probably like 4 or 5 months worth of purchases, to be honest. And again, I shop for a deal. I'm super selective. It's a great way to try new writers. A lot of these books I wasn't able to get through my library. So again, it's a great way to be able to get them for a couple of bucks. And we'll see which ones I fall in love with and maybe get the upgrade to the hardcover book that makes it to my shelf, or to the paperback book, because I love those too. But let me know if you guys have snagged any deals lately. Are you an ebook person? Are you a book person? How do you scour for your deals? I'm subscribed to so many newsletters, so it's so tempting. I do have to exert self-control because I do feel like it's super easy to like, oh, it's only $1.99. Oh, it's only $2.99. So I have managed to somehow reel myself in a little bit, but let me know all the things and we can talk down below, and I'll see you guys in another video. But thanks for hanging out. Bye, everybody.